All set?
It's from the
Good.
case from Staten Island.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Nizzolio. I'm honored to be the chair of the New York State Senate Standing Committee on Codes. With me is Senator Dan Squadron, the ranking member of the Senate Codes Committee. Good afternoon, Senator Squadron. It's very good to see you, and thank you for your attention to the agenda of this committee, as always. I'm also very pleased that Senator Joseph Griffo is also present as a member of this committee, and Senator Askar is here for his second Committee on Codes meeting, and appreciate their participation. I'd say for the record, I also appreciate Senator Askar's focused attention on helping us work through criminal justice issues in this state budget. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you.
With that, we'll begin our agenda. S-2418 by Senator Perkins.
Senator. Yes, Senator. Thank you. This is an act to amend the penal law in relation to removing a certain time period for the crime of persistent sexual abuse.
Motion to report. Negative votes. Bills reported. S-6658.
Senator, this is an act to amend the penal law and the correction law in relation to establishing a domestic violence registry.
Motion to report. Senator Squadron.
Thank you very much. And this is one of two bills on today's agenda that I know address the same issue, the same heinous tragedy that our chair and others have been making proposals to deal with for many years, and I appreciate both of them. I think I'm going to sort of address both of them now with the chair's indulgence.
Yes, and we can't call up two bills at once, but I think why don't we discuss them? And if I may, Senator, Senator Griffo and I have worked on this issue for at least a half dozen years, and that it was Senator Griffo's idea in the first place to establish a registry, and that he and I have worked together to make that happen. We have enacted Brittany's Law measure that was passed by this body, this committee, many times, and most recently last meeting we held last week. We also believe that we need to pull together portions of other legislation that may be similar, may be complementary, maybe in some areas even better to address those issues. We'll be dealing with this measure 6658 and 6660 with this committee, with the understanding that we'll be beginning earnest negotiations with the State Assembly I should add from the first get-go, the Senate minority as well, and your assistance, your willingness to discuss these issues, and you and I have had that relationship that this issue, you understand why I want to do it, I understand the kinds of things that you are opposed to. Hopefully we can work accommodation over the next few weeks on these measures. That's the overall view of it, Senator, and certainly look forward to hearing your concerns and engaging in a meaningful discussion.
Thank you very much, and again, thank you for the addressing it thoughtfully. And on the original bill, I've always said that the motive of Senator Zolio, Senator Griffo, and others to do really everything we can to protect against domestic violence, to protect victims, including children, from ending up unknowingly with an abuser, knowing that frequently abusers are serial abusers. In fact, I've passed legislation, sponsored legislation that has passed into law with bipartisan support that is exactly about increasing penalties on serial abusers, and that's the goal here. I think that both this bill and the next one succeed in much more specifically targeting the registry that would help folks identify who is a serial abuser to domestic violence offenders. And I think that is an enormously positive step. And in both cases, I have still some outstanding questions to ensure that we really are talking about domestic violence offenders. In the case of this bill, I think that It's possible that nonviolent, for example, financial crimes, felony crimes against household members may still be included. That's something that I know we're going to look at moving forward. On the next bill, I do think we need to be careful to make sure that the threshold is the right level of crime, that we don't have a summons leading to a 10 or 20-year registry. But in both cases, the clear intent of these bills makes a great deal of sense to me, and I really appreciate that. The sort of second area on both of these bills that I think we really need to look at is how long before we can have a greater assurance that someone is not a serial offender, because this is really about protecting folks from becoming the kind of victims that Brittany Pasalacqua and Danielle De Medici and Jessica Tush and others have. And for that, I think figuring out how to align this with orders of protection but not create a loophole is a challenge. I know that there's a couple of different methods for that. So in both of these bills, I'm going to vote without rec today, but I want to say I have a history of, as painful as it has been, because the motive and the suffering are both so powerful. I have a history of having voted against the underlying law. This one, I'm going to vote without rec on these, just in hopes that we can negotiate what we talked about, and in hopes that, and the real optimism that we're heading towards a bill that's going to have broad bipartisan support and going to really solve these problems for, so that, God forbid, victims like this don't develop in the future. So thank you for the opportunity to speak on them. I think rather than have a quick back and forth, I'll just leave it there, and we'll continue the back and forth through conversations with the Assembly and between ourselves.
Points well taken, Senator. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you in a very positive approach to achieving these important objectives. Senator Griffo, did you have some comments? Again, thank you for your participation, and certainly we need Senator Griffo's involvement as we discuss these measures and trying to work on solutions. The committee is joined by Senator Marty Golden. Thank you, Senator Golden, for your participation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The motion is on the bill number 6658 by Senator Nozzolio. Motion to report, negative votes. Bills reported, Senator Squadron without recommendation. 6660, Senator Nozzolio, Counsel.
Senator, again, this is an act to amend the penal law in relation to establishing a crime of failure to register or verify as a domestic abuse offender.
Motion to report, same discussion, negative votes, bills reported. 6679.
Senator, this is an act to amend the penal law in relation to changing sexual abuse in the second degree from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class C felony.
Motion to report, negative votes, bills reported. 6680.
Senator, this is an act to amend the penal law in relation to sexual assault against a child by a person in a position of trust.
Motion to report, negative votes, bills reported. Thank you, gentlemen, for your participation.
Thank you very much.
Ready?
Yes. Thank you, Mike.